Cinema Worms.
Discussing everything from Grima Wormtongue to the Shy Halib.
Hello. Look at our fun shirts today.
Dancing Skeleton and Mona Lisa Big Bird. Completely normal things to have on one shirt. But you see, we're going for subversive, like the subversive filmic. Do you see the segue that I did there?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we are here today to talk about Backrooms, which we saw like a week and a half ago, and we're only just getting around to because it's been a little bit of a busy time, but we have a lot to say about it. So Backrooms is a science fiction psychological horror directed by and actually co-scored by Kane Parsons. Again, I'm legally obliged to tell you that Kane Parsons is very young, much like the director of Obsession. So young that it'll make you say things like, oh my god, how young, and what am I doing with my life? Now, this is his feature-length directorial debut, and it was written by Will Sudik. It's based on Parsons' web series, which was inspired by like this creepypasta. This is this Reddit thing, if you don't know, like where basically people make up little spooky stories and attempt to scare each other. And in this film, which kind of builds on the lore of Backrooms, we have Chiwetel Ejiofor, a furniture store owner, who along with, at some point, his therapist, discovers a dimension of seemingly endless liminal spaces accessed through the basement of his furniture store. Despite his attempts at making really exciting, full of gusto, pirate-themed adverts, he doesn't have any customers or seem to sell anything any of the time. He's actually sleeping in the store. It's not a good time in his life. So Clark is having a terrible time, and I feel like it just goes from bad to worse when he discovers the liminal space known as the Backrooms, which is kind of represented by this. It manages to feel both claustrophobic and agoraphobic at the same time. It's just an endless series of weird rooms. They have like a yellow kind of tint to them going on. How would you describe the creepiness of the Backrooms?
Yeah, and by the way, I recently learned about the Backrooms not just from what you told me, but from a lovely PBS educational video about is it about like monsters or internet lore, but they do this very efficient quick deep dive into the Backrooms and how they originated on some 4chan post and then spread through these forums, and that there was like endless lore.
Oh yeah,
Basically, a whole universe of lore that this is based on. And the
Yes.
initial idea of what makes the Backrooms creepy is that there's something uncanny about it, right? Familiar, but wrong. It's this corporate, sort of soulless, creepy liminal space that is stripped of personality or humanity, but that you're sort of trapped in it. And there's a particular sort of yellowish lighting and endlessness to this space that is really creepy. And yeah, that's how I would describe them.
So I think maybe we've mentioned before in the podcast, but if you don't know, like the idea of the uncanny valley, if you've heard this term before, it's usually applied to kind of humanoid things, so creatures or robots or something. There's a point at which you can get pretty humanoid and we're okay with it, but when it's too close to human but not quite acting right, there's this dip in comfort level and recognition called the uncanny valley. And I feel like the liminal spaces of the Backrooms do something kind of similar. There is this horrible, as you say, uncanniness. There's this kind of abject nature of it, of again, another phrase, like the new abject is kind of like your hair is fine, and your nails are fine, but then when you like cut your nails off, and if you then step on one of your cut off fingernails, you're like grossed out by it. Or if you find your hair, you're like, oh god, because it's no longer part of you, it's become something else. So I think there's a really interesting kind of mirror between what do the Backrooms kind of look like and what do they represent for us, and the fact that even though they sort of do look a lot of the time, at the beginning anyway, they look quite normal, they are just rooms, but there's always something wrong. It's just never quite right. Like everything in there looks like Dali dreamt it. It's just kind of horrific in a way. And also Dan Erickson, who created Severance, he's actually cited the Backrooms as being a huge inspiration. And I don't know if you remember, I showed you a video that I found of there was a scene from Severance where they're walking through corridors talking, and someone had tried to map it, and they're actually just going around and around the same one, but it doesn't look like that. They've made it look like a different thing. And again, I was like, this is so uncanny, because you don't know when you're necessarily watching it, but you get this feeling of, hang on, like they've just turned the same corner like 3 times in the same direction, and we're not back where we started. What the hell is going on? So even if you don't necessarily recognize that in the moment, there is something in your brain that goes, whoa, hey, this isn't quite right here. There's that human inclination to hang on a second, caution.
Exactly. The familiar, but twisted and made unfamiliar.
Yeah. So Clark has a couple of employees who are kind of trying to help him with his just absolutely shitty pirate adverts. I quite liked them. I thought they were fun. There's this kind of invoking this 90s aesthetic that's going on. But let's talk a little bit about his therapist. Who is played by Renate Rensev, who I love and who we've seen in a bunch of things lately. She's just like going from strength to strength for me. Mary. Yeah. Now, Mary at some point also goes into the back room. Trying not to spoil her as much as we can, but a lot of these characters that we've mentioned, everybody pretty much at some point goes into the back room, even though you as a normal person would see this and go, no, no thank you. What do you think of Mary and the role that she plays?
I mean, I think she's a great character, a great foil to, or I guess Clark's a foil to her, to this character of Clark who he's just like a shitty person, and we're not sure how much empathy we're supposed to have for him. There's something just really lacking in him, or sort of twisted and broken. And you know what? There's something like that in Mary as well. You see her trying to, I think that makes her a really interesting character, because she's in this position of a therapist who is bringing knowledge and insight to people, and comes off as like calm and competent, has her own little self-help book situation. She's trying to get it off the ground.
For, and they're equally naff, by the way. I mean, there's no pirates.
Apparently 90s, just all cringe.
Yeah, it was, I mean, a lot of it was.
But you see that she's also haunted. And having that thread of vulnerability within both of them relates to how they will then interact with and navigate the back rooms. And it adds, I think, an emotional depth. Meanwhile, with Clark, it's more of he's the bad guy in his own story. And with Mary, there's something wounded there that we are discovering. So it makes her interesting. She's an interesting character. Both strong yet wounded.
Yeah. Now, I don't think we're spoiling much to say, because it does sort of happen in the first 10 minutes. One of the first things we kind of see is Clark in a therapy session with Mary, and she's asking him to sort of role play his previous relationship with his ex-wife, and very quickly he starts to lose his temper, and we get to kind of see him play through some of the anger that he feels, the injustices that he feels he's suffered at his wife's or his ex-wife's kind of hands. And as a psychiatrist who does therapy, I was wondering, like, how, because I know how uncomfortable I felt with all the subtleties of emotion, and the fact that, of course, she's creating like a safe space for him to do that, but he goes so quickly to anger that I was like, wow, you're not even pretending. You would think that, you might, of course, the idea is that you're as honest as possible with your psychiatrist. That's why you're in therapy, you're working through those things. But he also doesn't strike me as a kind of person who wants to be vulnerable. And so to see him get instantly kind of angry, even imagining his ex-wife and reliving this moment that made him feel bad, I was like, wow, you're really not even attempting to hide your feelings in front of her.
I think he lacks the awareness to do so.
I kind of would love your take on that, because I thought, wow, you are not self-aware, and it's really scary to me to see this.
Thank you for asking and remembering I'm a psychiatrist. So sweet.
I remember what my wife does for work.
Yeah, next time there's a character who is a writer or editor or coach of some kind, writing coach of some kind, very specific, very, very. The writer, not so much.
The writer, for sure.
The writer's like.
I actually can't think, because I feel like we watch a lot of things that have writers in them. I can't remember the last time that I ever saw a writing coach or an editor.
That would be good.
I mean, I would like to. That would be pretty fun, because,
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's some things I could say about that, but yeah, in a general way.
So I'm really struggling with writing a book now, just because writing sucks and it's hard. Where the main character is a psychiatrist and trying to write out scenes that are therapy, and it's like I feel like as a psychiatrist, I'm too close to it and just the way I think to efficiently write such scenes, because in real life the way it happens is so drawn out, like you're having long sessions with patients over and over again, and sometimes probably eavesdropping on that would be boring, and sometimes it would be confusing or vague, and then sometimes you do have moments maybe like that in the film. So the fact that this is the main session, at least, well, whatever. It's our intro to the character, and you're supposed to get a lot about him. And the way they write it is so efficient. And sure, it can seem like initially like, oh, that's on the nose. But actually, I think it works very effectively to clearly convey the dynamic in the therapy, the work they've done so far, and where the character is at emotionally. Like, it's actually well calibrated, because he's like, oh, we're going to do this like reenactment thing. That's stupid. Oh, okay. And then he slips into it so easily and with such hostility that you can then understand the rage underneath.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The confidence, or no, maybe the privilege or whatever, the sense of entitlement. That's the word. Sorry. Yes. That he feels to get that rageful in the room. And sorry, I'm just like slouching all over. I'm
no,
like,
it's the noise. You're just making a swishy noise behind me.
Yeah.
I'll be closer. Hold my hand.
Okay.
As we talk about these horrific liminal spaces in this horror film.
The way Skeleton he feels, it's a nightmare. Yeah, he feels real comfortable, real fast getting angry. And then his apology is not appropriate for how insane he just acted.
Yeah.
So this dude gets angry a lot.
Yeah.
He does not have insight into it. He thinks he is justified, and she's actually kind of scared of him. But then briefly in that moment, but then has to navigate it in a clever way. So how she negotiates that, I thought, sorry, a lot of words for just like, honestly, not too long of a scene.
Yeah.
But thank you for asking.
Did it inform, after seeing that scene in Backrooms, did that inform how you've been writing the scenes in this book?
Now that you remind me, it will. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Good point.
Okay. Is there anything else we want to kind of focus on in this? Because, I mean, I thought this was a great film. I was a little worried because, and we actually saw this separately because we weren't able to go at the same times. We were both busy. And I was a little worried going in because I didn't know anything about the lore and I wanted to keep it that way. But we had just seen Obsession quite recently, and I was thinking to myself, I mean, it's gonna be pretty tough to blow Obsession out of the water. And I was really surprised and pleased at how much I did like Backrooms. I didn't completely love it. There's definitely some critiques that I have of it, but without knowing anything about it and going in, I felt that it was like really well done. I thought it was creepy. It was really interesting to see how this space is explored, how our own psychologies and psyches are reflected in this, our egos, our anger, all of our emotions, and the way that it's always subtly changing and always looks wrong. It just disturbed me the whole way through, and I thought that was pretty neat. So I would recommend people go and see both Obsession and Backrooms. What about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Both very original and interesting, fascinating works of horror, and psychological horror. I think I'd mentioned coming out of the Backrooms that it's obviously you have to build tension and get, build the story, and you can't just have the horror and the monsters and whatnot. The violence happens straight off. But there were a number of reasons I was even more fully engaged in like maybe the last half or last third, not just because we're like fully immersed in the Backrooms, but the emotional backstory of Mary is being revealed more and more, and the parallels kind of back and forth between the Backrooms, and then a revelation, which I didn't know about of things in the back rooms. I'll just leave it at that. That were disorienting and very psychologically effective and creepy. And I thought that just really works.
Yeah.
And I'm here for this.
It's exactly the kind of thing that I like. It ticked a lot of boxes for me. It was really, and you know what? I think this is a great moment to point out that both Obsession, and I know I keep bringing up Obsession just because, not necessarily because they're both young filmmakers who've done really well, but they have done really well with quite a small budget to begin with. They are original ideas, and I think this is like a great moment to point at in Hollywood and go, hey, look, you know, you need to stop scraping the IP of all these old things. You know, we're like, audiences will come out for good original content. I know you don't believe that, but it is true. And look, it's demonstrable here. Like, I think if you make it and you make it well, people will come and see it. Cinema is not dying. We are not tasting the end of cinema here, to quote something from my PhD. We are, I think, just tasting a new course.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you find the Backrooms creepy?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a strong desire for self-preservation, so it is, I would take one step in and go, that seems really neat. No, thank you. Interesting. I shall not be exploring this. Then again, I also think that I would be tempted by going, okay, just peek around one corner. Okay, just peek around another corner. But it is intrinsically
one
like,
more corner.
It does immediately send a bunch of alarms off in my head of like, no, this is uncanny, this isn't right, there's something not right here. Just watching our cat completely fail to do anything. That was...
Wait, do you want to like look at him?
No.
Wait, no?
Don't reward him by being
enormous.
And also an idiot.
Final
he's
point.
Like, he's just trying to find his own kitty Backrooms. Now that I would watch.
God. Backrooms, but cats. One point, there's something, I'm just remembering when I was like 19 or 20 or 21 or whatever, and I was taking a course over the summer to study for the MCATs, which is the medical school entrance exam. And I would be waiting for my parents at this like university, wherever I was taking the course. And I would wander through the hallways of the school building that were fluorescently lit, white walls.
Ooh.
No one was there.
Very backroom coded.
I was just wandering through at night because I liked it. And there was something weirdly nostalgically comforting about all that fluorescence and emptiness and the white walls. And I liked it. Even though I was like, I hope someone wouldn't come and kill me right now.
Well, you always kind of hope that, you know, that someone won't come and kill you. Yeah, that's a general hope to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds awesome, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about that I was drawn to. But the Backrooms, no thank you. No thank you.
And they built all of the set as well. It's like an incredibly huge... I think people like were actually kind of getting lost in the maze of the rooms, which is just makes the whole thing even funnier to me. I'm really excited to see what both of these directors do next. Like Curry Barker and Kane Parsons. I'm just really excited to see where their careers go. You know what I'd like to see? Young female filmmaker coming up in the same way as well.
Maybe they're there. We just don't know them, and they don't have a hit movie out. Work on it, ladies. Or, sorry, industry. Make it possible for them to be famous
better industry. Crack open them gates a little bit more, and let's see what female we can I was going to say, let's see what women's wrongs we can support.
Oh, yeah.
Women's rights and women's wrongs.
Okay, let us know what you think of Backrooms. Thanks for the excellent intro and background. I'm going to be looking into all of this.
Backrooms, backstory, backroom story. We're just at a Wu-Tang Clan song now. Backrooms, and forth and forth.
Oh no, we're done.